generating stick. Great saints and sages can bring forth the fire lying dormant within wood. Same way, O Lord, those expert in understanding the absolute truth try to see you in everything, even in your own bodies. Yet you remain concealed. You are not to be understood by indirect processes involving mental or physical activities, because you are self manifested. Only when you see that a person is wholeheartedly engaged in searching for you do you reveal yourself. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word kriyartai, kriyartai means by performing ritualistic ceremonies to satisfy the demigods. The word vipaschita is explained in the Taittiriya Upanishad as follows. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam Parame Vyoman So Nute Sarvam Kamam Saha Brahma Vipaschite Iti. As Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita 7:19, Bhavanam Janmanamante Janram Mam Prapadyante. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me. When one understands that the Lord is situated in everyone's heart and actually sees the Lord present everywhere, he has perfect knowledge. The word Jata Veda means fire which is produced by rubbing wood. In Vedic times, learned sages could bring forth fire from wood. Jata Veda also indicates the fire in the stomach, which digests everything we eat and which produces an appetite. The word Gudha is explained in the Sutasvatara Upanishad. Eko Deva Sarvabhutesu Gudaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is understood by chanting the Vedic mantras Sarva Vyapi Sarva Bhutantara Atma. He is all pervading and he is within the heart of living entities. Karmendyaya Ksha Sarva Bhuta Dvi Bhuta Dvi Vasa. He witnesses all activities of the living entities. Shakshi Cheta Devalo Nirguna Cha. The Supreme Lord is the witness as well as the living force. Yet he is transcendental to all material qualities. Well, it's good to know that, that there is a Supreme Personality of Godhead who is untouched by mundane activities or thoughts or pastimes. Text 37. The objects of material enjoyment, sound, form, taste, touch, and smell, the activities of the senses, the controllers of sensory activity, meaning the demigods, the body, eternal time, egotism, are all creations of your material energy. Those whose intelligence has become fixed by perfect execution of mystic yoga can see that all these elements result from the actions of your external energy. They can also see your transcendental form as supersoul in the background of everything. Therefore, I repeatedly offer my respectful obeisances unto you. That's wonderful. Purport. The objects of material enjoyment, the sensory activities, attachment to sensual pleasure, the body, false egotism, and so on, are produced by the Lord's external energy, Maya. The background of all these activities is the living being, and the director of living beings is the super soul. The living being is not the all in all. He is directed by the super soul. In Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Krishna confirms this. Sarva Sichaham Hridi Sanibhisto Matak Smriti Gyanam Apuhanam Cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. The living entity depends on the super soul for directions. A person advanced in spiritual knowledge, or a person expert in the practice of mystic yoga, yama, niyama, asana, and so forth, and so on, can understand transcendence either as Paramatma or as the transcendental personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is the original cause of all natural events. Therefore, he is described as Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes. Behind everything visible to our material eyes is some cause, and one who can see the original cause of all causes, Lord Krishna, can actually see. Krishna, the Satchit Ananda Vigraha, is the background of everything, as he himself confirms in Bhagavad Gita 9:10. Maya dakshina prakriti suyate satcharacharam hitanam nena konteya jagat viparivasate. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. By its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Text 38. O Lord, you do not desire the creation, maintenance, or annihilation of this material world, but you perform these activities for the conditioned souls by your creative energy. Exactly as a piece of iron moves under the influence of a lodestone, inert matter moves when you glance over the total material energy. Wow. Yeah, that's the power of the Lord's glance. He can create and he can also destroy simply by his glance. Purport. Sometimes the question arises why the Supreme Lord has created this material world. Okay, it's a good question, which is so full of suffering for the living entities entrapped in it. The answer is given herein. It is, and the answer is given herein is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not wish to create this material world just to inflict suffering on the living entities. Okay. The Supreme Lord creates this world only because the conditioned soul wants to enjoy it. The workings of nature are not going on automatically. It is only because the Lord glances over the material energy that it acts in wonderful ways, just as a lodestone causes a piece of iron to move here and there. Because materialistic scientists and so-called Sankhya philosophers do not believe in God, they think that material nature is working without supervision. But that is not the fact. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 6.18 and 19, the creation of the material world is explained as follows. Yadyapi Sankhya Pradana Karana Jada Haite Kabu Nahe Jagat Srijana Nija Srishti Shakti Prabhu Sankare Pradhane Ishwarer Satye Tabe Hayata Nirmane. Atheistic Sankhya philosophers think that the total material energy causes the cosmic manifestation. But they are wrong. Dead matter has no moving power, and therefore it cannot act independently. The Lord infuses the material ingredients with his own creative potency. Then, by the power of the Lord, the matter moves and interacts. Sea waves are moving by the air. The air is created from ether. The ether is produced by the agitation of the three modes of material nature. And the three modes of material nature interact due to the Supreme Lord's glance over the over the total material energy. Therefore, the background of all natural occurrences is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Maya Dakshina Prakriti, Suyate Ja Sa Characharam. This is also further explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila 5.59-61. Jagat Karana Nahe Prakriti Jada Rupe Shakti Sanchariya Tare Krishna Kare Kripa Krishna Shakti Prakriti Haya Gona Karanam Agni Shakti Loha Yaiche Karaye Jarana Ateva Krishna Mula Jagat Karana Prakriti Karana Yache Aji Gala Sthana. Because Prakriti, material nature, is dull and inert, it cannot actually be the cause of the material world. Lord Krishna shows his mercy by infusing his energy into the dull, inert material nature. Thus, Prakriti, by the energy of Lord Krishna, becomes the secondary cause, just as iron becomes red hot by the energy of lit fire. Therefore, Lord Krishna is the original cause of the cosmic manifestation. Prakriti is like the nipples on the neck of a goat, for they cannot give any milk. Thus, it is the great mistake on the part of the material scientists and philosophers to think that matter moves independently. My Lord, okay, so this is text number 39. My Lord, as the original boar within this universe, you fought and killed the great demon Hiranyaksha. Then you lifted me, the earth, from the Garbhodaka ocean on the end of your tusk, exactly as a sporting elephant plucks a lotus flower from the water. I bow down before you. Thus end the Bhakti Vedanta purports of the fifth canto, 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Prayers Offered to the Lord by the Residents of Jambu Dvipa. Hare Krishna. Chapter 19, a description of the island of Jambu Dvipa. This chapter describes the glories of Bharatvarsa, and it also describes how Lord Ramachandra is being worshipped in the tract of land known as Kimpurusha Varsa. The inhabitants of Kimpurushavarsa are fortunate because they worship Lord Ramachandra with his faithful servant Hanuman. Lord Ramachandra exemplifies an incarnation of Godhead who descends for the mission of Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinasaya Chaduskritam, protecting the devotees and destroying the miscreants. Lord Ramachandra exhibits the actual purpose of an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the devotees take the opportunity to offer loving transcendental service to him. One should surrender fully to the Lord, forgetting one's so-called material happiness and opulence and education, which are not at all useful for pleasing the Lord. There it is. Major statement. The Lord is pleased only by the process of surrender unto him. When Devarsi Narada descended to instruct Sarvani Manu, he described the opulence of Bharatvarsha, India. Sarvani Manu and the inhabitants of Bharatvarsha engaged in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the origin of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, and who is always worshipped by self-realized souls. In the planet known as Bharatavarsha, there are many rivers and mountains, as there are in other tracts of land. Yet, Bharatavarsha has special significance because in this tract of land there exists the Vedic principle of Varnashrama Dharma, which divides society into four Varnas and four Ashramas. Furthermore, Narada Muni's opinion is that even if there is some temporary disturbance in the execution of the Varnashrama Dharma principles, they can be revived at any moment. The effect of adhering to the institution of Varna Ashrama is gradual elevation to the spiritual platform and liberation from material bondage. By following the principles of Varnashrama Dharma, one gets the opportunity to associate with devotees. Such association gradually awakens one's dormant propensity to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead and frees one from all basic principles of sinful life. One then gets the opportunity to offer unalloyed devotional service to the Supreme Lord, Vasudeva. Because of his opportunity, the inhabitants of Bharatavarsha are praised even in the heavenly planets, even in the topmost planet of the universe, Ramaloka. The position of Bharatvarsha is discussed with great relish, a lot of fame. Okay, all the conditioned living entities are evolving within the universe in different planets and different species of life. Thus, one may be elevated to Brahmaloka, but then one must again descend to earth, as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Abrahma Bhuvanal Loka Punar Avartina Regiona. If one who lives in Bharatvarsha rigidly follows the principles of Varnashram Dharma and develop their dormant Krishna consciousness, they need not return to this material world after death. Any place where one cannot hear about the Supreme Personality Godhead from realized souls, even if it be Brahma Loka, is not very congenial to the living entity. If one who has taken birth in the land of Bharatvarsha as a human being does not take advantage of the opportunity of spiritual elevation, his position is certainly the most miserable. In the land known as Bharatvarsa, even if one is a Sarvakama Bhakta, a devotee seeking the fulfillment of some material desire, he is freed from all material desires by his association with devotees, and ultimately he becomes a pure devotee and returns home back to Godhead without difficulty. At the end of this chapter, Sri Sukadeva Goswami describes in Maharaj Parikshit the 8 sub-islands within the island of Jambudvipa. Okay, text number 1 in chapter 19. It says, Srila Sukadeva Goswami said, my dear king, in Kim Purusha Varsa, the great devotee Hanuman is always engaged with the inhabitants of that land in devotional service to Lord Ramachandra, the elder brother of Lakshmana and dear husband of Sita Devi. A host of Gandharvas is always engaged in chanting the glories of Lord Ramachandra. That chanting is always extremely auspicious. Hanumanji and Aristisena, the chief person in Kim Purusha Varsa, constantly hear those glories with complete attention. Hanuman chants the following mantra. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the Puranas, there are 2 different opinions concerning Lord Ramachandra. In the Laghu Bhagavatamrita 5.34-36, this is confirmed in the description of the incarnation of Manu. Vasudevadi Rupanam Avatara Prakriti Tita Avatara Prakriti-ta Vishnu Dharmotare Rama Lakshmanadya Krama Adani Padme tu Ramo Bhagavan Narayana Itir Ita Sesas Chakram Cha Sakas Cha Kramatsur Lakshman Adaya Madhye Desa Sita Yodaya Pure Tya Vasati Smita Maha Vaikunta Lokecha Raga Vedrasya Kirtita. The Vishnu Dharmotra describes that Lord Ramachandra and his brothers, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrugna, are incarnations of Vasudeva, Sankar's son, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, respectively. The Padma Purana, however, says that Lord Ramachandra is an incarnation of Narayana, and that the other 3 brothers are incarnations of Shesha, Chakra, and Sankha. Therefore, Sri Baladev Vidyabhusana has concluded, Tadidam kalpa vedenaiva sambhavyam. In other words, these opinions are not contradictory. In some millenniums, Lord Ramachandra and his brothers appear as incarnations of Vasudeva, Sankar's son Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And in other millenniums, they appear as incarnations of Narayana, Shesha, Chakra, and Sankha. The residence of Lord Ramachandra on this planet is Ayodhya. Ayodhya city is still existing in the district of Hyderabad, in the district of
Faizabad.
Hyderabad,
Faizabad.
yeah, which is situated on the northern side of Uttar Pradesh. Text number 3. Let me please your lordship by chanting the Bija mantra Om Karam. I wish to offer my respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, who is the best among the most highly elevated personalities. Your lordship is the reservoir of all good qualities of Aryans, people who are advanced. Advanced in what? Advanced in spiritual life. Your character and behavior are always consistent, and you always control your senses and mind. Acting just like an ordinary human being, you exhibit exemplary character to teach others how to behave. There is a touchstone. There is a touchstone that can be used to examine the quality of gold. But you are like a touchstone that can verify all good qualities. Nice statement. You are worshipped by Brahmanas, who are the foremost of all devotees. You, the Supreme Person, are the King of Kings, and therefore I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Text number 4. The Lord, whose pure form, Satchitananda Vigraha, is uncontaminated by the modes of material nature, can be perceived by pure consciousness. In the Vedanta, he is described as being one without a second. Because of his spiritual potency, he is untouched by the contamination of material nature. And because he is not subjected to material vision, he is known as transcendental. He has no material activities, nor has he a material form or name. Only in pure consciousness, Krishna consciousness, can one perceive the transcendental form of the Lord. Let us be firmly fixed at the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra, and let us offer our respectful obeisances unto those transcendental lotus feet. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna appears in various expansions, as stated in the Brahma Samhita 5.39. Brahmadimurti Sukhalani Amena Tistam Nanavataram Akarodi Vanesu. Krishna Swayam Samabat Parama Pumam Yo Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, who is always situated in various incarnations, such as Rama, Nishinga, and many sub-incarnations as well, but who is the original personality of Godhead known as Krishna, and who incarnates personally also. Krishna, who is Vishnu Tattva, has expanded himself in many Vishnu forms, of which Lord Ramachandra is one. We know that Vishnu Tattva is carried by the transcendental bird Garuda and is equipped with different types of weapons in 4 hands. Therefore, we may doubt whether Lord Ramachandra could be in the same category, since he was carried by Hanuman, not by Garuda, and had neither 4 hands nor the Sanka, Chakra, Gada, and Padma. Consequently, this verse clarifies that Ramachandra is as good as Krishna. Ramadimurti Sukhala. Although Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, Ramachandra is not different from him. Ramachandra is unaffected by the modes of material nature, and therefore he is prashanta, never disturbed by those modes. Unless one is saturated with love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot appreciate the transcendental value of Lord Ramachandra. One cannot see him with material eyes because demons like Ravana have no spiritual vision. They consider Lord Ramachandra an ordinary Kshatriya king. Ravana therefore attempted to kidnap Lord Ramachandra's eternal consort, Sita Devi. Actually, however, Ravana could not carry off Sita Devi in her original form. As soon as she was touched by Ravana's hands, she gave him a material form. But she maintained her original form beyond his vision. Therefore, in this verse, the words Pritak Pratyak Prashantam indicate that Lord Ramachandra and his potency, the goddess Sita, keep themselves aloof from the influence of the material energy. Okay, that's good information. Otherwise, they would be under the influence of Maya. In the Upanishads, it is said, Yam Evaisha Rinate Tena Labhya, Katha Upanishad 1.2.23. The Supreme Lord, Paramatma, the personality of Godhead, can be seen or perceived only by persons who are saturated with devotional service. As stated in Brahma Samhita 538, Pramanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Samtatsadeva Hideshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunanswarupam Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotees whose eyes are anointed with the cult of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shamasundara, situated within the heart of the devotee. Similarly, in the Chandogya Upanishad, it is stated, Etas Tishro Devata Anena Jivena. In this verse of the Chandogya Upanishad, the word Anena is used to distinguish the Atma and Paramatma as two separate identities. The words Tishro Devata indicate that the body of the living entity is made of three material elements: fire, earth, and water. Although the Paramatma enters the heart of the Jivatma, who is influenced and designated by a material body, the Paramatma has nothing to do with the Jivatma body. It's transcendental. Because the Paramatma has no material connections, he is described here as Anama Rupam Niraham. The Paramatma has no material identity, whereas the Jivatma does. The Jivatma may introduce himself as an Indian, American, German, and so on, but the Paramatma has no such material designations. And therefore, he has no material name. The Jivatma is different from his name, but the Paramatma is not. His name and he himself are one and the same. This is the meaning of Niraham, which means without material designations. This word cannot possibly be twisted to mean the Paramatma has no ahankara, no I-ness or identity. He has his transcendental identity as the Supreme, This is the explanation given by Srila Goswami. According to another interpretation given by Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, Niraham means Nirnischayena Aham. Niraham does not mean that the Supreme Lord has no identity. Rather, the stress is given by the word aham, proves strongly that he does have his personal identity because near means not only negative but also means strong ascertainment. Text 5. It was ordained that Ravana, chief of the Rakshasas, could not be killed by anyone but a man. For this reason, Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared in the form of a human being. Lord Ramachandra's mission, however, was not only to kill Ravana, but also to teach mortal beings that the material happiness centered around sex life or centered around one's wife is the cause of many miseries. He is self sufficient, supreme personality of Godhead, and nothing is lamentable for him. Therefore, why else could he be subjected to tribulations by the kidnapping of Mother Sita? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When the Lord appears in this universe in the form of a human being, he has two purposes, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.9. Parikranaya sadhunam vinasaya chatuskritam, to destroy the demons and protect the devotees. To protect the devotees, the Lord not only satisfies them by his personal presence, but also teaches them so that they will not fall down from devotional service. By his personal example, Lord Ramachandra taught the devotees that it is better not to enter married life, which is certainly followed by many tribulations, but confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.9.43. Kripanas, those who are not advanced in spiritual knowledge and who are therefore just the opposite of Brahmanas, generally take to family life, which is a concession for sex. Thus, they enjoy sex again and again, although that sex is followed by many tribulations. This is a warning to devotees. Okay, everybody wake up and pay attention to this. This is a warning to devotees. To teach this lesson to devotees and to human society in general, Lord Sri Ramachandra, although the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, underwent a series of tribulations because he accepted a wife, Mother Sita. Lord Ramachandra underwent these austerities, of course, only to instruct us. Actually, he never has any reason to lament for anything. So only to instruct us. Actually, he never has any reason to lament for anything. Another aspect of the Lord's instructions is that one who accepts a wife must be a faithful husband and give her full protection. Okay, well, that's wonderful. Human society is divided into two classes of men: those who strictly follow the religious principles and those who are devotees. By his personal example, Lord Ramachandra wanted to instruct both of them how to fully adopt the discipline of the religious system, and how to be beloved and dutiful husbands, and how to become how to be a beloved and dutiful husband. Otherwise, he had no reason to undergo apparent tribulation. One who strictly follows religious principles must not neglect to provide all facilities for the complete protection of his wife. Okay, very important. There may be some suffering because of this, but one must nevertheless endure it. That is the duty of a faithful husband. Well, that means that this is the origin of no divorce.
Mm.
How can you how can you protect your wife if you divorce her? So that is the duty of a faithful husband. By his personal example, Lord Ramachandra demonstrated his duty. Yeah, what does that mean? That means that even though Sita Devi was kidnapped for a time, Lord Ramachandra did not reject her, but he did everything to get her back. Lord Ramachandra could have produced hundreds and thousands of Sitas from his pleasure energy. But just to show the duty of a faithful husband, he not only rescued Sita from the hands of Ravana, but also killed Ravana and all the members of his family. Yeah, when the Sita Devi was kidnapped by Ravana, he could have said, "Well, she's kidnapped. There's so many other ladies. I'll just get married to someone else."
Mm-hmm.
No, he didn't do that. He did everything to get her back. Another aspect of teachings of Lord Ramachandra is that although Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his devotees may apparently suffer from material tribulations, they have nothing to do with such tribulations. In other words, they tolerate, they are not devastated by difficulties. They are mukta purushas, liberated soul persons, under all circumstances. It is therefore said in the Chaitanya Bhagavata, Yata Deka Vaishnavera Vyavahara Dukha Nishchaya Saniha Taha Paramananda Sukha. A Vaishnava is always firmly situated in transcendental bliss because of engagement in devotional service. Although he may appear to suffer material pains, his position is called transcendental bliss in separation, viraha. The emotions a lover and beloved feel when separated from one another are actually very blissful, although apparently sinful. I'm sorry, although apparently painful. Therefore, the separation of Lord Ramachandra from Sita Devi, as well as the consequent tribulation they suffered, is but another display of transcendental bliss. That is the opinion of Sri Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura. Okay, it was a display of transcendental bliss. Text number 6. Since Lord Sri Ramachandra is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, he is not attached to anything in this material world. He is the most beloved super soul of all self realized souls, and he is their very intimate friend. He is full of opulences. Therefore, he could not possibly have suffered because of separation from his wife, nor could he have given up his wife and Lakshmana, his younger brother. To give up either would have been absolutely impossible. Why? Because Lord Ramachandra is a pure devotee. He's the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he would never act in a low class way. Purport. In defining the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we say that he is full in all six opulences: wealth, fame, strength, influence, beauty, and renunciation. He is called renounced because he is not attached to anything in this material world. He is specifically attached to the spiritual world and the living entities there. The affairs of the material world take place under the superintendence of Durga Devi. Shristi Stati Pralaya Sadhana Saktir Eka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga. Everything is going on under the strict rules and regulations of the material energy, represented by Durga. Therefore, the Lord is completely detached and need not give attention to the material world. Sita Devi belongs to the spiritual world. Similarly, Lord Lakshmana, Ramachandra's younger brother, is a manifestation of Sankarsana, and Lord Ramachandra himself is Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since the Lord is always spiritually qualified, he is attached to servants who always render transcendental loving service unto him. He is attached to the truth in life, not to Brahminical qualities. Indeed, he is never attached to any material qualities, although he is the super soul of all living entities. He is specifically manifest to those who are self-realized, and he is especially dear to the hearts of his transcendental devotees. Because Lord Ramachandra descended to teach human society how dutiful a king should be, he apparently gave up the company of Mother Sita and Lakshmana. Factually, however, he could not have given them up. One should therefore learn about the activities of Lord Ramachandra from a well-realized soul. Then one can understand the transcendental activities of the Lord. Yeah, we have to hear about Krishna from a pure devotee of the Lord. Okay, I think we'll stop there. Time is up. And our takeaway for today, it says, because Lord Ramachandra descended to teach human society how dutiful a king should be, he apparently gave up the company of Mother Sita and Lakshmana. Factually, however, he could not have given them up. One should therefore learn about the activities of Lord Ramachandra from a self-realized soul. Then one can understand the transcendental activities of the Lord. Yeah, the Mayavadis and speculators, they will see all the activities of the Lord as mundane activities. But actually, the Lord is acting in transcendental activities throughout the Vedas. But to understand that, one has to be surrendered to the Lord. Without surrendering to the Lord, one will concoct many philosophies and many speculations about the Lord and his pastimes. So that's why says it says one should therefore learn about the activities of Lord Ramachandra from a self-realized soul. Then one can understand the transcendental activities of the Lord. So if you go to some upstart Mayavadi philosopher, you'll never understand Lord Ramachandra and his transcendental activities. But one should therefore learn about the activities of Lord Ramachandra from a self-realized soul. Then one can understand the transcendental activities of the Lord. Okay, I think we will stop there. Are there any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Haribol.
Maharaj, I have a question. When it is written that Lord apparently given the company of Lakshmana, uh, Maharaj, when did the Lord gave up the company of Lakshman?
Where did you see that?
Text 6, Maharaj, when it said that he apparently gave up the company of Mother Sita and Lakshmana. Factually, however, he could not have given them up. Text 6 in the
Therefore,
last few lines.
therefore, he could not possibly have suffered because of separation from his wife, nor could he have given up his wife and Lakshmana,
Lakshman.
younger brother. To give up either would have been absolutely impossible. Yeah, so basically, the Lord's activities are inconceivable to mundane people. So, although it looks like he gave them up, but he never gave them up. And
Mm.
it says here, uh, it says, one second. The Lord is completely detached and need not give attention to the material world. Sita Devi belongs to the spiritual world. Similarly, Lord Lakshmana, Ramachandra's younger brother, is a manifestation of Sankarsana, and Lord Ramachandra himself is Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since the Lord is always spiritually qualified, he is attached to servants who always render transcendental loving service unto him. That's a very important statement for a devotee to know.
Yeah, there's also the pastime where there is a sage that comes to meet Lord Rama with an important message, and then he gives one condition: no one should disturb their meeting, and if anyone did, that person must be executed.
Executed.
Yeah, so this is the killed.
Wow.
So that's when this is the divine pastime. Lakshmana was asked to guard the door,
Okay.
and then then sage Durvasa comes. This is all the divine pastime, just to
Okay.
demonstrate this. And then sage Durvasa then insists that he has to meet Lord Rama at that time, because then otherwise he will curse the entire kingdom. And then now Lakshmana was in a bind. So then he says, okay, let me, he would rather get killed. And then so he goes inside and then disturbs. And then the other sage then says, okay, now Lakshmana has to be executed. And then that's when Lord Rama says that, okay, a separation from Lord himself is same as considered as death.
Yeah.
So that's how he asks Lakshmana to leave the kingdom. So that's the separation, Mataji. So this is the
Oh, okay. Thank you, Prabhu. So this happened after
yeah.
okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. That's good. Good explanation. So our takeaway for today is the following. Since the Lord is always spiritually qualified, he is attached to servants who always render transcendental loving service unto him. He is attached to the truth in life, not to Brahminical qualities. Indeed, he is never attached to any material qualities. Although he is the super soul of all living entities, he is specifically manifest to those who are self-reliant, and he is especially dear to the hearts of his transcendental devotees. Because Lord Ramachandra descended to teach human society how dutiful a king should be, he apparently gave up the company of Mother Sita and Lakshmana. Factually, however, he could not have given them up. One should therefore learn about the activities of Lord Ramachandra from a self-realized soul. Then one can understand the transcendental activities of the Lord. So it's very important to know the transcendental activities of the Lord. There's nothing mundane about the Lord's pastimes. So therefore, even though it looks like he may have uh, given up the association of his most intimate devotees, he never gave up. He never gives up the association of his devotees. So only devotees can understand this. That's why it says, "Shristi stati palaya sadhana saktir eka chayeva yasya bhuvanani vivarti durga." Everything is going on under the strict rules and regulations of the material energy represented by Durga. Therefore, the Lord is completely detached and need not give attention to the material world. That means that mundane persons like us who are still attached to things in the material world, we cannot really understand the transcendental activities of the Lord. It's only when we fully surrender and engage in pure devotional service that we are able to understand the pastimes of the elevated souls, such as Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is not attached to anything in this material world. So even if we have one attachment in the material world, we will not be able to understand the pastimes of the transcendental personalities like Lord Ramachandra. And it says here, he is not attached to anything in this material world. He is the most beloved super soul of all self-realized souls, and he is their very intimate friend. He is full of all opulences. Therefore, he could not possibly have suffered because of separation from his wife. Nor could he have given up his wife and Lakshman, his younger brother. To give up either would have been absolutely impossible. So even though his wife, Sita Devi, was temporarily kidnapped by the demon Ravana, they were never really separated because Ravana did not actually touch Sita Devi. Ravana touched a facsimile of Sita Devi. In other words, a person who was put in the place of Sita Devi that looked like her but was not actually Sita Devi. But how would we know that? It's only because we're reading the explanation in the Shastras that when ostensibly Sita Devi was kidnapped by Ravana, but actually he did not kidnap her. He kidnapped a facsimile of Sita Devi, someone who looked like her. And there's a whole history about the facsimile of Sita Devi also that's going to come. Okay, so any questions or comments? All right, what is our takeaway for today? Shisti stati pralaya sadhana saktireka chayeva yasya bhavanani vibharti durga. Everything is going on under the strict rules and regulations of the material energy, represented by Durga. Therefore, the Lord is completely detached and need not give attention to the material world. Sita Devi belongs to the spiritual world. Similarly, Lord Lakshmana, Ramachandra's younger brother, is a manifestation of Sankarsana. And Lord Ramachandra himself is Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since the Lord is always spiritually qualified, he is attached to servants who always render transcendental loving service unto him. He is attached to the truth in life, not to Brahminical qualities. Indeed, he is never attached to any material qualities. Although he is the super soul of all living entities, he is specifically manifest to those who are self-realized and especially dear to his heart of his transcendental devotees. Because Lord Ramachandra descended to teach human society how dutiful a king should be, he apparently gave up the company of Mother Sita and Lakshmana. Factually, however, he could not have given them up. One should therefore learn about the activities of Lord Ramachandra from a self-realized soul. Then one can understand the transcendental activities of the Lord. That is very important information. Only devotees can understand the transcendental activities of the Lord, especially the transcendental activities of the Lord Ramachandra. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada has taken the responsibility to understand through his purports the real happenings of what is explained in the Shastra. So we have the Shastric words and we have Prabhupada's purports. Without Prabhupada's purports, we would never be able to understand the correct meanings of the Shastra. Just imagine if there was no purport by Prabhupada, we would make many mistakes.
It's just speculation.
Yeah,
So yeah,
and we would speculate. I think it's this, I think it's
is
that.
that
Maybe this, maybe that. So, Prabhupada really spent his time, many, let's say, nights, translating correctly the pastimes of the Lord, and with his wonderful purports, which he claimed were his
Spiritual ecstasy.
Spiritual ecstasy. Yeah. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Okay. So much for the speculators of this